Hey guys, today we're going to be going through how to cook your sister's yummy chocolate chip cookies. Now, to start, I like to pick out one of my favorite sweaters to wear while I'm cooking, and people ask me this all the time. Scott, does the sweater impact the cookies? Well, I wasn't able to find any scientific literature that says that putting on a nice sweater impacts the flavor or the texture of the cookies. I can say that having made cookies both with and without the sweater, it makes a difference. You do what you want to do, but I would highly recommend putting on that sweater. With the sweater on, the next step is to actually get the recipe from your sister. Now, since I probably don't know your sister, I'll be using mine instead as a substitute. Her name is Beep. I'll probably bleep that out in post just to keep her name private. I don't want to put her name or her information out there. So I called up my sister. I told her I wanted to make her yummy chocolate chip cookies, and she was immediately excited and immediately jumped at the opportunity to give me a recipe. She's just the sweetest and was super excited to help me out. So that was no problem. If you have trouble getting the recipe from your sister, or you don't have a sister, I'm sure my sister would be more than happy to give you her recipe instead. Now that we have the recipe, let's go through the ingredients that we're going to need to make these chocolate chip cookies. First things first, we will need 1 large egg, 1 egg yolk, 1 stick of butter, 8 cups, 1 bag of flour. Now, flour can be a difficult substance to work with because it looks a lot like cocaine, which can be extremely distracting. I know I've on more than one occasion gotten distracted and started acting out Scarface because it looks like cocaine and it's just too fun. Pop, pop. So yeah, here you can actually see me getting distracted. I've forgotten all about the cookies because the flour is just too fun and looks too much like cocaine. So if you find yourself like me getting distracted because the white flour looks like cocaine, I recommend using semolina flour instead. It is a viable alternative, although the cookies will suffer as a result. They will probably be disgusting. Moving on. The next ingredient you'll need is 1 tablespoon or teaspoon of baking soda, 1 bag of granulated sugar, a bottle of vanilla, brown sugar. You can use either the light or the dark brown sugar. Use light if you want your cookies to be lighter, and use the dark brown sugar if you prefer your cookies darker. 1 bar of chocolate. You can use either chocolate chips or a bar of chocolate chopped up. The last ingredient I'm going to keep a secret. I spoke to my sister about this and she was very polite and just asked that I don't spoil her secret recipe, so for that reason I won't be divulging the last ingredient, but I think the cookies will be just fine without it. Alright, it's time to get cooking. To start, we're going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Next, it's important to wash your hands before you start cooking. If you have a sink in front of the window, you might get distracted spying on the neighbors, so try to focus on the hand washing and then we can move on to the cooking. Alright, let's get baking. To start, heat a small saucepan over medium heat and add a stick of butter or 8 cups. Now the goal here is to brown the butter. The browning occurs as the proteins in the butter evaporate, leaving behind the phospholipids. The phospholipids are immutable in water, and it's actually this immutability that leads to the browning. So we're going to need to get the pan really hot in order to evaporate the proteins in that butter. It's going to take about 3 to 5 minutes for all of the proteins to evaporate, leaving you with that nice brown butter. You can tell that we've achieved that here, and that's going to pack a lot of flavor into those cookies later. It was at this point that I realized I didn't remember the next step in making the cookies. That's fine, that's exactly what this video is for. All we need to do is build a computer so that we can pull up this YouTube video and figure out what the next step is. Alright, the first step in building a computer is to pick out the parts. I like to use PCPartsPicker.com, so I suggest you go there. Once you've selected all of the parts, you can click Buy from Amazon, which will take you to Amazon.com, and you will have all of the parts in your cart, so you just need to click Purchase. Now, while waiting for the computer parts to arrive, it's probably a good time to check up on those cookies and see how they're doing. Ooh, they look good. Probably just a couple more minutes and they'll be ready. And before you know it, the packages will start arriving one by one, and you can get to work building your computer. So before we get started, I'm going to quickly run through the ingredients you're going to need to build your PC. 1 graphics card, 1 power supply, a Wi-Fi connector, which can also come with Bluetooth capabilities. I recommend getting one that contains both, as it's easier to use than having 2 separate parts. Of course, you will need 1 motherboard, a case to hold all of the parts, and of course 1 monitor. Now I know what you're probably asking. Do I need to purchase the Samsung Odyssey G9 ultra-wide monitor? Will it affect the outcome of the cookies? The answer might surprise you, and that is that it probably won't affect the cookies. However, having only made the cookies using the Samsung Odyssey G9 ultra-wide monitor, I can't be 100% sure if that's true. If you want to be safe, go with this monitor, but I think it probably doesn't matter. To begin putting the PC together, the first step is to unscrew the case so you can get at the inside. Step 2 is to assemble the PC inside the case. And the final step is to screw the case back together. So, as you can see, it's a very straightforward process, just those 3 steps. Alright, now that you've built the computer, it's time to carry it into your office, plug it in, and turn it on. Alright, the computer is finally built, so we're going to head to YouTube now and figure out what the next step in making these cookies is. Hey guys, today we're going to be going through how to cook your sister's yummy chocolate chip cookies. I'll skip that. Now, to start, I like to pick out one of my favorite sweaters. That was no problem. If you have trouble getting the recipe from your sister. Now the goal here is to brown the butter. Alright, computer is finally built, so we're going to head to YouTube now and figure out what the next step in making these cookies is. Hey guys, today we're going to be going through how to cook your sister's yummy chocolate chip cookies. Now, to start, I like to pick out one of my favorite sweat sister and show my sister more when making those cookies later. It was at this. Alright, now get out your KitchenAid stand mixer. That's where we're going to be mixing all of the ingredients to the cookie batter. That's it. The KitchenAid. That's it. The KitchenAid. We're going to make the batter in the KitchenAid. We're going to make the batter in the KitchenAid. Alright, now get out your KitchenAid stand mixer. That's where we're going to be mixing all of the ingredients to make the cookie batter. First, place in 1 stick of butter or 8 cups, followed by 1 cup of brown sugar. If the butter gets stuck in the mixer while mixing, you can use your finger to push it out and then restart the mixer. A knife can also work. While the mixer is running, I like to use a hand cupping technique to prevent the ingredients from flying out. If you're filming a YouTube video, then the only drawback is you will probably be blocking the camera in which case I would actually advise against using this strategy. Next, place in 2 tablespoons of vanilla, or 2 teaspoons, I can't actually tell, but either one should be fine. Next, in goes the browned butter from earlier with your left hand, unfortunately, which blocks the camera. Now add 1 cup of sugar with your right hand, thank God. Now pour in the 1 egg and egg yolk and move your head in front of the shot for some reason. The last 3 ingredients are 1 cup of flour, a dump of salt, and some baking soda or baking powder. I think it probably doesn't matter. Yep, it's baking soda. But either one should be fine. Turn the mixer on high and apply the hand cupping technique again to prevent ingredients from flying everywhere. If you're going to increase the speed, be sure to stand away from the mixer for safety reasons, as you don't want to get hit in the face with cookie batter. Alright, it's time to chop that chocolate. So get out the chocolate, a cutting board, and get chopping. Chop, 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 chop. Oh yeah, that looks good. Just like that. Beautiful. And now transfer it to a cup measure for some reason, instead of just carrying the chocolate on the cutting board over. And then bring over the cutting board anyways. Finally, we're going to place in 1 dump of the secret ingredient and mix it all together. That's the final ingredient. Hand cupping technique strategically applied again. And we're good. With the batter made, transfer it to a cutting board, place it on some plastic wrap, and use a rolling pin to flatten it out. You're going to want to store it in the fridge for at least an hour, and up to 24 hours is even better. Before you go to sleep, you can ask your roommate if they're excited for your sister's cookies. Hey Bo, are you excited for the chocolate chip cookies?
Your cookies so delicious.
The next day, take the butter out of the fridge and place it on the counter. We're going to want it to sit out for a bit to soften up and come up to room temperature. Grab a cooking sheet out of the drawer and apparently just shake any crumbs out right onto the floor, even though the sink is 5 feet away. Line the baking sheet with parchment paper. And before you get started, you're going to want to wash your hands again to clean off any bacteria. You're going to be forming the cookies into cookies, so you don't want dirty hands when you're doing that. To make the cookies, you're going to want to pinch off a little bit of the cookie batter and roll it in your hands into little balls. The balls will flatten out into cookie shape in the oven. So make sure you leave plenty of space between each cookie ball, because they will expand as they flatten out. With the balls formed, you can now place the cookies into the oven, which, if you started preheating yesterday, should be plenty hot by now. You're going to leave those cookies in there for about 10 minutes and maybe up to 15 minutes depending on how big your balls are. Alright, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The cookies are finally done. Grab an oven mitt, head over to the oven, and pull those bad boys out.
Oh! Holy shit! Fuck! What the fuck? Oh! No!
Why? Why, Scott? What? Jesus fucking Christ!
Oh! No! These cookies melt in my mouth. Your cookies? Garbage. I love your cookies. Trash. Scott's Cookies #1. Scott's Cookies made by Grandma. Oh, your cookies are bad! Grandma approved, Scott made. Bad cookies! I like your cookies very, very much. Nobody would want those cookies ever. Those are cooked cookies for sure. Your cookies are like, you baked them like you didn't bake them good. Scott, your cookies? Oh! Scott, you made your cookies very well. Oh! I like the cookies that you made. They're good. You over there filming, making bad cookies. Your cookies are busting.